Very good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Build Trust for the New Distributed Workforce with Horizon. This is a webinar delivered by XenTegra Canada, and it is part of our technical webinar series that we run, I was going to say on consecutive Thursdays, but usually on a Thursday. So thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to speak to you. And our presentation is going to be driven by my colleague, Rizwan Sheikh. But what I'd like to do is just try to provide a perspective on who XenTegra is. XenTegra is a reseller and integrator that's been in business since 2012. We really do focus on helping our customers better understand their technologies, both from it doesn't really matter who the vendor is. It really comes down to understanding what's available and what makes most sense for your environment. The way that we do this is by providing a variety of services, beginning with complementary assessments. When we say complementary assessments, we mean free assessments to help you understand and establish a baseline of the health of your environment. And we tend to focus in on virtualized desktop environments and application environments. We provide our customers a solid overview of the health of their environment, and then a prioritized list of what they need to focus on in order to maintain or improve their health of their environment. We also provide a variety of webinars, this being one of them. We also do hands-on workshops periodically across different technologies, including VMware, Citrix, Microsoft, AVD, and several others. We also do drill down into vendor-focused podcasts because very often people will say, look, I have a particular interest in, let's say, a backup solution or, again, a Citrix or VMware solution. And we also actively encourage our customers to attend conferences, vendor conferences, and in those cases, we provide complimentary free passes. So today's session is going to focus in on building trust for the new distributed workforce, using VMware Horizon and VMware solutions. And really, when we look at the world and how things have changed, where now today employees really expect to have seamless and straightforward remote access from wherever they work, it really does force organizations to rethink how they've deployed their networking, security, and endpoint strategy. And what we're very pleased to present today is VMware's Anywhere Workplace strategy and solution, which really brings together some key technologies, including VMware Workspace ONE, VMware's SASE platform, and VMware Carbon Black Cloud. But before I go any further, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to introduce my colleague, Rizwan. Rizwan, welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to you to go through the agenda and then perhaps take us through this, and I'll watch out for questions. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Raj, for the awesome introduction. Hi, team. Good morning, everybody. My name is Rizwan. I'm a solutions architect in XenTegra, and I'm going to walk you through the complete agenda we're going to be talking about today, and including what are the details of discussions that we're going to be having today in this presentation. So it's a small agenda basic that will be covering up the basic definition of what Anywhere Workspace means to VMware. How do we go ahead and break down the different components of Anywhere Workspace? What's the primary use case of having a workspace journey? How do we go ahead and deploy a complete solution, make the solution completely seamless and secure for all of our end users' workspace? Secure the distributed edge. How do we ensure that every aspect of security is met across using the solution? And finally, we're going to be talking about the VMware Future Ready Workplace Ready solution as well. Can we move to the next slide, please? So at first, let's talk about the remote workforce that we have today, right? And before pandemic, we used to have users working from office, users working from one specific location. But today, in pandemic situation, we see a lot of users working from home, working from a public network, as well as working from office. So you have a different kind of work style today. And in fact, if you look at the surveys here, all the surveys agree to the fact that remote work is no longer a perk. It's actually a mandate. It's actually a mandatory solution that has come across from different organizations. At the same time, we also understand the fact that the tools that we use today, the tools that the users use today are not up to the date. And that is why we need to go ahead and make a lot of changes in the tools, in the solutions that we offer today for the end users, so that their experience while they access the applications are more seamless. But at the same time, IT meets all the security requirements that they have today in their organization. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, if we talk about, there are three different work styles that we see across, right? I mean, we have a complete 100% workforce who work from home, who work from an unsecured public network. We have workforce who comes to office. Typical examples would be medical facilities, pharmaceutical industries, or hospitals for that matter. And we also have a hybrid workforce. You know, these are the kind of workforce, these are the kind of users who'll be not only working in home, but also be working in office in a week's time. I mean, part of the day, part of the time they'll be working in office, and part of the rest of the week they'll be working from home itself. So if you look at all of these challenges that we see, if you look at the user's work style today, we have three different challenges that we can come across. Can we go to the next slide, please? So here are the three different challenges that we see across, right? I mean, we have challenges across multiple experience of the end users, those users who are now working out of the office, those users who don't have IT along with them, and they have to work on the applications or resources which are not easily accessible for them in their complete BAU process. Right? We have on the IT perspective, we have the fragmented level of security, right? I mean, we now have users accessing our SaaS-based applications, accessing the on-prem applications across, and we don't know what kind of applications, what kind of application access that they have. We don't have visibility to those applications when the users access Office 365 or SFDC for that matter. We absolutely have no idea what kind of device they are using it to access these applications, what kind of files they are downloading across on their devices, and what exactly they are doing with their files. And the last is now, because we have multiple devices coming in, we have multiple ways that the users access these applications across. We also have operational level of complexity as well. Yeah. So going ahead further, VMware analyzed all of these challenges that comes across actually, and came across with Anywhere Workspace as a platform. Now, Anywhere Workspace is a platform which is made up of three different solutions that VMware has. VMware Workspace 1 provides you a unified endpoint management across any kind of devices that you have today. Not only the application, not only the device management, but it also manages the application for the end users. Now, be this application a web-based application or a SaaS-based resource or a virtual application for that matter, or a native application for that matter. All of these applications, including the virtual desktop, can be delivered across from Workspace 1 as a platform. Now, Workspace 1 platform also takes care of the end user experience. When I say end user experience, it ensures that the user has access to the application in a more faster way, in a more responsive manner, so that they can be productive and they don't have to focus on the application troubleshooting or investigation that they have to do with BAU or data support. VMware SASE is the first cloud SASE cloud initiative platform where we have a cloud security model where we deliver the best application access and the best application security across the platform. And finally, we have VMware Carbon Black, which is a next generation antivirus solution, which combines the capability of the traditional antivirus solution that we have, including the artificial intelligence powered by machine learning algorithms. So that's something which is a combination of these three solutions that we offer across the part of Anywhere Workspace of the platform. Can we go to the next slide, please? Now, when we talk about Workspace 1 UEM, UEM stands for Unified Endpoint Management. And as we rightly say, as you can see here in the slide, any kind of end user equipment that you see here can be managed through Workspace 1, be it a mobile device or a desktop, or a laptop for that matter, a rugged device for that matter, including any IoT-based devices that you have today. All of these devices can be managed across from the platform. And not only that, including any kind of operating system that you have. you have Android devices, you have Android phone, tablets. All of these can be managed across from the platform itself. Same thing goes with Mac OS or Linux machines for that matter, including Apple devices as well. And the most important, can we be in the same slide, please? And the most important part is what kind of use cases the user have today, right? If you talk about today's end user access, users would like to use their personal devices as well as the corporate devices, right? And we talk about a personal device, it's usually a personal phone where they want to access their emails, they want to access applications across. And Workspace ONE ensures that they access their application seamless way. And it also ensures that they access these applications in a more secure way. And that is what any use case that you have today, be it a BYO device, bring your own device, a corporate owned device, or even a purpose-built kiosk machines or a purpose-built end user equipment can also be handled across, can also be managed across from Workspace ONE VM. Can we go to the next slide, please? When we talk about seamless applications or consistent experience across, the Workspace ONE platform ensures that whichever device you are into, you have that unified and consistent experience across when you access the applications. So whether you have your phone, you have the same, although you have a different form factor, but you see all of your applications in one specific bundle, one specific resource. And that is what powered across from the Workspace ONE platform. So Workspace ONE basically act as a single repository of all of your applications which the user is authorized for. And whenever you go ahead, sign into the Workspace ONE applications, be it whatever authentication method that you use, you get access to all kinds of applications in a more simpler way. This means that the end user doesn't have to actually rely on one specific device. They can simply go ahead, use their mobile phone and access emails for that matter, or SFDC for that matter, or Workday for that matter. At the same time, they can simply switch over to a tablet device and start working on their virtual applications or any SaaS-based or native applications actually for that matter. While the employee is in home or is working from home on a laptop or a desktop, you can simply go to his desktop, make use of the platform, he can start working on the applications in a more seamless way. So wherever he is, he gets access to the applications in a more optimized way, and he doesn't have to further have that issues on the applications and start working on the issues of the application rather than working on the applications directly. Let's take a closer look on how a zero-touch provisioning happens across on the end user. So you have the end user's laptop, which is basically the end user has got it today itself. The end user simply goes ahead, punches his credentials across, and the moment he punches his credentials, he is just asked for an authentication. And this is all done by the Workspace ONE platform at the back end. The main engine across that you see across working here is the Workspace ONE platform, which is managing this particular device. Now the user simply goes ahead, punches his credentials, and once he punches his credentials, the device is basically registered across in the Workspace ONE platform. And finally, you have all the applications, you have the machines loading up, you have the profile loading up across on the machine, and then finally you also see all the applications coming up here on the device. The Workspace ONE Intelligent Hub is the main tool which actually provides access to all kinds of applications that you have just seen. You simply go ahead and when you see this section of application, you'll be able to see all kinds of applications, be it a web-based application or a virtual application that you see right now, a SaaS-based application like a Salesforce for that matter. You also go ahead and see all the details of your applications, of the individual as well, like what is the user entitlement that you have got. And finally, you'll be able to work across from any platform. You can simply go ahead and sign out this application, sign out from the machine, and you can sign in again. And once you sign in, you see the desktop wallpaper being applied across. Now, all of these policies that you see, the wallpaper policy or the personalization policy that comes across, is actually been delivered from the unified endpoint management platform itself. Team, please let me know if you have any questions I'll be more than happy to answer your questions here. If you can just give me control of the machine, and I'll be able to manage the deck.
Rizwan, just while you're doing that, I just want to invite people to use the Q&A to insert a question if they're interested, and we'll be sure we get back and answer them.
Yep, sure. So while you have seen the day zero that has happened for the end user has got his machine, he got all of his applications now, is up and running, and he is through, and he starts working on the application. How about day two, right? I mean, the day two is the one where the user goes ahead. If he has any issues in the applications, he simply goes ahead, logs a ticket with the service desk, and the service desk help desk person just comes in and starts troubleshooting on the issue. So Workspace ONE provides a guided experience for the end users as well for the day two operations. So here you see a small demo where the user simply goes ahead, where the user simply goes ahead and makes a call for the end user, for the help desk administrator. On your right hand, on your left hand side, you see the Workspace ONE Assist tool, which is managed by a help desk administrator. And on the right hand side, you have an end user's laptop. Now, when a user calls for a support for an issue, the help desk administrator simply goes ahead, spins his machine across, connects to the Workspace ONE UEM tool, and finally he uses the tool actually to get access to this particular machine. Once he gets access to this particular machine, he can see the screen of the desktop of the end user. The end user can simply, the administrator can simply go ahead and start making changes. Once the end user agrees that the administrator can go ahead and make some changes. So it's basically a guided tool which easily and in a more faster way resolves the issue for the end users, where they can go ahead and simply rely on the administrators to start working on the application. And anything which has been not working for the end users, the help desk administrator can quickly resolve those issues, fix the problems, and close the ticket as soon as possible. Let's look at how do we automate the workspace for the end users here. So now we talk about the digital employee experience management. So when we talk about experience management, the biggest thing that we see here is how we can enhance the experience of the end users who are working on the applications here, right? I mean, that's the most important factor. When a user works on the application, he needs to focus, his complete focus is on the application so that he can work on the application, close the application as soon as possible, and be productive. Now, there may be situations at times when the application may not work, and the user would need a faster resolution for that particular application which is not working. Take a look at a small demo here where we have an end user who's working on Teams application, and when he launches a Teams application, and when he tries to work on Teams application, tries to make a call to Andrew, his Teams application crashes. This Teams application, which is installed on the Windows machine. The Workspace ONE would be able to sense that this particular device, Teams, has crashed, and would prompt the end user to make an alternative access to Teams application, and would simply go ahead, spin up a virtual application for the end user, and the end user would come back again to the same screen, accessing this application virtually from a virtual desktop infrastructure. And he can go ahead and then he can start working on the application, and finally it closes the application. At the back end of the infrastructure, what really happens is the Workspace ONE intelligence platform would be able to analyze what exactly went wrong, how many devices are affected with this particular issue that the user has seen just now, and what is the overall experience score for the end user. That's what it factors and understands like what went wrong here, and tries to mitigate by means of a patch or by means of a DLL file corruption, which may have happened. It tries to restore that, inform the IT team, raises a help desk ticket as well. So this is what happens at the back end. So while the user goes ahead, works on the application, the platform has actually proactively understood where the problem is, and is now trying to restore that issue, restore that problem, and finally comes across the solution of that particular problem. So IT doesn't have to actually go ahead and have a reactive approach to this particular problem which has happened. They can simply rely on the platform itself, and platform would take care of the complete issue that has been seen. Let's move to the next slide here. So basically, when we talk about the complete solution across on the teams that you have seen, we also go ahead and have an effect to all the factors of the machine that we can see, right? I mean, we go ahead. We also manage the CVE vulnerabilities actually, which has come across on the devices. Ensure that the device has up-to-date patches across, and also ensure that if there's any kind of vulnerability which comes across, the platform would be able to take care of those vulnerabilities and mitigate the vulnerability by means of applying a patch. This is what we do here actually in the next demonstration. Yeah. So if you look at this, we have the Workspace ONE Intelligence dashboard, and we see all the different flavors. We see all the different operating systems here, and we also see the security risk across all of these devices. Now, if you have a closer look on these devices, we have Windows 10 machines, which has got almost about 93 vulnerabilities across, which has come across on these devices. Now, the intelligence platform would be able to analyze these vulnerabilities, will be able to rank these vulnerabilities based on CVSS score, and will be also able to say how many devices are impacted with this particular vulnerability. If you look at a closer look, it will simply go ahead and open up a NIST article, which is basically connecting to NVD, that is the National Vulnerability Database. And it can actually let you know what kind of vulnerability it is, what kind of remote hijack tool has been used, what could be the possibility of gaining unauthorized access with this particular vulnerabilities. Now, going ahead further, it can actually analyze all kinds of vulnerabilities that you can see. And what we do here is an administrator can simply go ahead and can simply prepare an automation policy or an automation script, which details these vulnerabilities, and it can actually apply a patch across, which mitigates this kind of vulnerability. So if you look at this, you simply go ahead, define an automation policy, and in the automation policy, you define the action to say that if you see this kind of vulnerability coming up, you define a patch level status, and that patch will be defined by Workspace ONE UEM itself. So it basically delivers a policy to Workspace ONE as a platform, and the Workspace ONE platform simply goes ahead and applies this patch across to all of the devices which are affected with this vulnerability. And finally, what it also does is it also creates a remedy ticket or a ServiceNow ticket for the administrators to understand that this is a mitigation, this is a patch which was seen, this is the vulnerability which was seen, and this was a patch which was applied to mitigate this kind of vulnerability. Let's have a look on the on how do we ensure security is at its max when we have end users working from anywhere. Before that, we just have a closer look at what are the analysis saying about it. What are the surveys which are talking about security? So if you look at the surveys here, we have almost about 600%. That's a huge amount. 600% is a huge amount actually, which talks about like what malicious emails have been forwarded across in COVID-19. Most of the time we see breaches coming up actually, and it takes months to actually go ahead and discover and finally mitigate those breaches that comes across. And the most surprising part is 70% of your breaches actually happen at the endpoint level itself. Okay? Which means these endpoints which may be vulnerable, which may have a Trojan, which is infected with malware, and you are accessing the applications which across these machines actually while this malware is already intact in the machine. So VMware Workspace ONE, VMware SASE actually provides the a little bit. Right? So VMware SASE basically provides you the capability of not only having a superior end user experience, but also having the best-in-class security actually, which is placed across. VMware SASE is a secure access service edge platform, a true cloud security model, which provides you a SASE POP, a point of presence across the globe, where you have all of these capabilities built in across in the POP itself. And the users simply have to go ahead, connect to this particular POP. And there are different ways of connecting to this particular POP, which the IT administrators defines the connection. And finally, when you go ahead and connect across these POPs, you go ahead, all of your traffic will basically be going ahead and processing across with multiple security algorithms and multiple security solutions that are built across in the point of presence. Yeah, let's take a closer look on how Secure Access Service Edge works out. Now, here's a small demo of how the Secure Access Service Edge works out here. So you have an end user whose device is being managed across on a Workspace ONE platform. And whenever the user makes any connection, makes any outbound request, the request goes to the SASE POP. Request goes to the POP, and finally the user will be able to connect to the POP, and all the actions will be done across by means of this POP. Now, the user receives an email from an unknown person, from an unknown, it's basically a phishing email. And when the user tries to go ahead and click on the link, okay, it basically goes to a vulnerable website. Okay. The SASE Secure Access Services will be able to, the Cloud Web Security will be able to analyze that particular website and will be able to mark that website as a malware site, because this site is actually a malware site. Similarly, if the user tries to go to any of the web traffic, any of the web-based applications like Bet365 or any gambling.com, any kind of applications like this, web resource like this, you will simply disallow the access, classifying that particular application, classifying that particular web resource actually across. And all of these happens at the backend CWS platform in VMware SASE. At the same time, when we go to any of the restaurants over there, and when we see free Wi-Fi and try to scan the barcode of the free Wi-Fi, the barcode may be suspicious one and may have some kind of vulnerabilities attached, or may have some kind of anomalies attached to that particular barcode. When the user goes ahead and scans that particular barcode, it simply goes to a link which is a suspicious link, which is not a link which the user should go ahead. The CWS actually senses that particular link and blocks that link, basically, because it understands that this is a malware link. It's a link which goes to a malware site and should be completely blocked. Okay, and let's see. Okay. Yeah, this is the here's the next demonstration where we talk about how next generation antivirus solution can actually bring a lot of difference to the end user computing. Now we have an end user who's working on an on-prem hosted application. The user is actually working on is using a transfer protocol, VPN as a transfer protocol, and everything works fine for the end users, right? I mean, he would simply go ahead, he would start working on the application. And here's what really happens actually when the user tries to go ahead and tries to execute a malware across. When the user tries to execute a malware, there is the Carbon Black next generation antivirus solution detects that, and it will simply block. It will simply say that this application was blocked because this is a malware application. When this happens, okay, and the user tries to access the application once again, the user's application will be restricted. The user will not be able to access that application because the VPN policy for that particular user will be revoked completely. So this is what happens when the device breaks its compliance. What has really happened is when the user went ahead and accessed that particular application, which was a malware application, the user's device went out of compliance. And when the user device went out of compliance, the user's VPN profile completely got revoked. The certificate got revoked, and you will not be able to access any application. So this is a joint effort of having an antivirus solution being taken as a compliance factor for the end user to log into any of the applications. Usually, what really happens is when you have an antivirus catching any kind of malware or Trojan, we still have access to the applications, right? You still have access to the applications through a VPN or through any kind of other applications actually. In case of a Workspace ONE platform, what really happens is when you have any kind of virus attack, any kind of malware be detected across, the platform will be sensitive enough to understand that this device is not being compliant enough to access this application, and his compliance will be revoked. His access will be revoked completely. That's what really happens on the further integration with next generation antivirus solution. Okay. So in a nutshell, if we talk about what we do at About Anywhere Workspace is, yes, in a multimodal employee experience, we resolve all of these issues. Sorry, wait one second. Let's go a little bit further. So in an Anywhere Workspace solution for a multimodal employee experience use case, we resolve this this factor by having Workspace ONE UEM platform, which provides dropship provisioning, provides out-of-band experience, the complete unified catalog for the end users, a passwordless authentication, which means a one-touch single sign-on for all of the application, a self-service portal, whether the user has a corporate device or a BYO device for that matter, it works for all. Same thing goes with automating the complete workspace, which means we define a complete solution for enhancing the end user experience by making use of technologies like Workspace ONE Intelligence, which provides you the experience management as what we have seen in MS Teams while the MS Teams got crashed. The same thing, we also define the root cause analysis at the back end and understand like where the problem has happened, which DLL has corrupted, and how do we restore those files across. And finally, we have also seen like how do we secure the distributed edge, right? I mean, we ensure that the user, whenever the user tries to access any web resource, his web resource will be scanned through the cloud filtering solution, through the cloud proxy solutions like CWS, the Cloud Web Security in SASE-POP, and we ensure that only legitimate access will be provisioned across for the end user. Ensure that the user goes through the next generation antivirus solution, and if the AV solution finds any vulnerabilities, his access to the internal application or any application will be revoked completely. At the same time, it also does health check and CV remediations, which basically understands that, hey, how the device is working on and how we can go ahead and secure these devices across all kinds of vulnerability that can come across. We now move ahead and see like what exactly, how exactly this journey can be achieved, right? So most of our customers that we see today, okay, they are into the level 1, right? When we talk about step 1, when we talk about they have a mobile management solution, a certain level of mobile management solution, and they also have some legacy PCLM tools that they're using it today, right? The step 2 for all of these customers would be to move ahead with modern management. So what exactly is modern management? Modern management is something that we have the devices with the users, and the users spread across everywhere. So the users are not coming to office, which means they don't have the inline connectivity with the network itself. Modern management ensures that all of your policies, applications, security capabilities remains intact. The patch table remains intact. The policies remain intact. Your GPOs, everything remains up to date, even if the user device is out of the network. This is what it does. This is what modern management does. When we talk about modern management, we also take care of software distribution. So if you have any application versioning or every application which is pushed across to the end users, modern management, Workspace ONE platform will ensure that you have these applications up and running, working with these devices. Stage 3 would be to go ahead and provision across workspace security. When we talk about workspace security, we're actually talking about leveraging next generation antivirus solution. Now, why next generation antivirus solution is so important? Because the traditional antivirus capability that we have today depends on the DAT signatures, right? It depends on the black signature that keeps on updating every now and then for the end users. The biggest concern here is these kind of antivirus solutions actually are basically have a very limited capability of preventing zero-day attacks. And this is where next generation antivirus solution works, which actually combines the capability of artificial intelligence, understand which process is talking to which application, what has changed when the user has downloaded a particular specific file, what has been changed when the user has executed a particular file, an exe file or an MSI file, and what level of access that particular file has to the kernel. Everything has been inspected across on the antivirus solution. And based on that, it actually measures what is the level of device, what security posture a device carries. Now, this is one of the most important tools today. Why? Because we have a lot of zero-day attacks that comes across, right? We see a lot of zero-day attacks coming in. We see a lot of surprising things that comes across in our devices. And the NJAV is the only way for you to go ahead and ensure that your device is completely secure. Going ahead further, we also need to ensure that along with the security capability that we can deliver across for all the devices, experience is also very important. Users are not working from office today, right? Users are working from home, users are working from a public network, and they want to ensure, in fact, even if they're working from office, they need to ensure that they access the application in the proper way. They need to ensure that the application, that they have 100% access to the application. And the only focus that the user needs to have on these applications is to work on this application, complete their job, log off from the application so that they can complete the job timely in a more productive way. So this is what we offer as a part of experience management. So Workspace One Intelligence Platform provides you the capability of DEAM, that is called Digital Employee Experience Management. Along with that, it also has vulnerability assessment, along with the intelligence and analytics. And finally, we have Anywhere Workspace. Anywhere Workspace brings in the capability of VMware SASE. Now, VMware SASE brings in the capability of having a best-in-class network experience for the end users. Along with that, it also provides cloud filtering solutions, cloud proxy solutions like CWS, firewall as a service, microsegmentation capabilities, and intelligent network control. This is what we have offered here, right? I mean, we have, if you look at VMware SASE more strategically, the SASE is basically a point of presence, a POP basically, which is hosted across multiple MSPs of ours. To the left-hand side of SASE, we have the users along with their respective locations and with their devices here. And on the right-hand side, we have all kinds of applications. We have applications which are hosted on-prem in the data center. We have applications which are SaaS-based applications. And all of these applications are managed, secured, and made more accessible from VMware solutions like Workspace One, Carbon Black, and VMware Horizon. So now if you look at the employee experience and the employee management across, I mean, you have users working across with multiple applications, right? I mean, employees working across cloud-based applications, as well as working across on the application which are hosted in data centers. So typically when we see users working on data center, they use transport mechanisms like VPN, right? And this is the most important transport application solution that we use across from different customers for different organizations of ours. Now, what we have seen here is, go to the next slide, yeah. We see a couple of challenges across in the legacy VPN tool that we see today. I mean, the tool that we use today for the VPN. Right? One of the most important factor is the end user experience. Okay? So today, if I have to access Office 365, the biggest worry for the organization here is to have the visibility of what user is accessing across an Office 365 mails. And what they do is basically they route users' traffic through the company's data center and then route back again to the Office 365 cloud. This is predominantly it is done to ensure that they monitor each and every access of the end user and ensure that whatever access they do is being completely monitored and completely controlled. But because of this, end users face a lot of network experience, right? I mean, they have to actually go ahead, hairpin across data center and then move across to the SaaS platform. And on the other hand, if you talk about security, when we use VPN solutions, a traditional VPN solution, the entire device becomes a part of a VPN network, right? So when we have this, any application which is to install that particular device would be able to access the corporate data center, will be able to access any application or any service in the corporate data center. Let's take a closer look at how we do that exactly. I mean, how a traditional VPN would work for an end user. So you have this end user device, which is basically using OpenVPN, the user using an OpenVPN application. The user simply goes ahead, connects to the OpenVPN, and the moment he's connected, he has now access to the complete data center. Now he can go ahead and simply launch tools like he can go ahead and if you look at the tool here, you will be able to see like how the VPN connectivity, and you'll be able to go ahead make use of tools like Nmap for that matter. Now Nmap is basically a port scanning tool, right? I mean, which is prominently used by hackers to do their first recon, to understand like what is installed, what services are installed in the complete data center, and what they can do with the services. The moment they understand like what service has been installed, they try to find out all the vulnerability. That's the second stage that they do it across in the service. If you look at if you have a closer look at this particular example, you'll see that all of these ports and services that is used for, it is used for an active directory, which means a hacker will be able to understand that whatever service he's scanning right now is basically an active directory, and this is one of the most critical component of an organization, right? This is what we do. The second is basically it looks like a Linux server actually, where he can go ahead and see that services like ports like port 22, like an SSH port has been enabled here. You have an 8443, which is basically looks like a service, has also been enabled here across, and we can closely understand that this looks like a non-Windows environment, a Linux kind of an environment actually, and I can start picking up all the resources, consuming. He can start using all those resources to understand and mitigate or to attack all of these applications across. So the first recon itself can be done across by just having a VPN connection. So on an IT perspective, VPN looks like a pretty secure network, right? But if you look at the demo here, you can see like the user can use any of the application and start accessing any of the services and starts exploring like what kind of services are these, so that they can have enough of information to make a second move to have a second attack on the servers. Now, when we talk about Workspace ONE as an offering, Workspace ONE provides Workspace ONE tunnel. It's basically a per application VPN tunnel that we configure here. Now, there are two bigger advantages that we bring across in a Workspace ONE platform. First is the Workspace ONE tunnel provides you a per application VPN tunnel, which basically defines VPN on an application that you can see on the section here, and it also defines the destination here. So, which means that we can define a filter, which we can say that a specific application would be having access to only specific destination. So I can make use of Safari of iOS or Mac OS tunneled across to the corp.local, or it can be a web server, it can be an FTP server for that matter, it can be a DNS server for that matter, but I would be tunneling across only these applications to access the tunneled application. Similarly, I can also go ahead and block access to these applications to further destinations as well. So which means I cannot use Safari for Facebook.com or Tinder.com or LinkedIn for that matter. I'll not be able to use that. Okay. Let's have a closer look at this. Now, this is what really happens when you go ahead and start making use of Workspace ONE tunnel. So the moment I open up a browser, now what I have done here is in this example, just give me 1 second. What I've done here is this example, I have filtering configured for Google Chrome browser as such, which means when the user opens Google Chrome as a browser, the Workspace ONE tunnel will automatically get connected to. 1 second. It's one little far. Yep. So over here, I simply launch the browser. Okay. And this time I'm using Workspace ONE tunnel. So the Workspace ONE tunnel senses that Google Chrome has been launched, And now if I go ahead and access any application, I would simply go ahead and will be able to access these on-prem applications actually. Look at this. I mean, I simply go to one of my portal. The same way I can go to multiple other portals actually and start accessing these applications. Okay. So the best part here is like if I go ahead and try to make use of any other browser for that matter, let's say Edge, for example, I will not be able to access these applications. The IP address 1.9 that you can see here, which was where I was able to access the server from Google Chrome, I will not be able to access the same application, same resource from Edge, or I will not be able to ping those resources from even the command line program. And even if I try to ping those applications, I will not be able to. The best part here is I come back to the same old tool, Nmap, and try to do a port scanning. Just try to scan the ports of 1.9 or any other application for that matter. I will not be able to scan that as well. So I scan the same Active Directory actually, which I go ahead and start doing it. If you look at this, I'm not able to scan on any services on any ports. So this brings in the capability and power for the IT administrator to understand, to ensure that the users are not using any vulnerable application and connecting to the resources. They are only using those applications which the IT has determined, IT has understood, and IT is allowing them to have access to these applications. In a nutshell, if you look at VMware SASE, the complete solution as such, you have an end user at the complete left-hand side, whose devices are enrolled with Workspace ONE platform. And you have Workspace ONE tunnel application, which are pushed across when the device gets enrolled in the platform. And when the user tries to make any connection, either internally on the data center or on the cloud applications, the connection will be routed. The connection request will be routed through the SASE POP. Inside the POP, I have secure access, which is responsible of making the per app tunneling across on the user's endpoint devices. This connection is established only when the user goes ahead, when the user authenticates, when the user device authenticates, when the user authenticates to the Workspace ONE tunnel. And it also ensures that the compliance is met at all point of time. So if the compliance breaks at any moment of time, this tunnel access will be completely revoked. Okay. And finally, when the user tries to access any web-based resource, it goes through our cloud proxy solution, that is Cloud Web Security. The Cloud Web Security goes through all kinds of mechanisms, the content inspection check, content filtering, web filtering solution has got a web filtering capability that we have seen just now. And it ensures that only legitimate traffic are allowed to access, and the same goes vice versa as well to the device network. Okay, just moving to the second slide. Now, when the same user goes ahead, comes back to the office, we have a capability called trusted network detection, which means that the user doesn't have to go through the tunnel again. He simply has to go make use of the company network and connect to the SASE POP. He may make use of the VCE, the Sd-Wan edge that is configured here. That is basically an Sd-Wan solution. And he can connect to he simply goes and connects to the Cloud Web Security and have all the capability of Cloud Web Security. Yeah. So far we have seen what are the different capabilities and solutions that we have today. And finally is the discussion on the blueprint that builds up a complete anywhere workspace story for the end users. So this is VMware future ready solution, right? Where we can define the complete logical architecture. So if you have a closer look today, in every organization, users are pretty important, right? I mean, users are the key aspect of any organizations here. So users would simply the user's basic ask here is to have a faster access to the application so that they can complete their job in a timely manner. And this brings in the key factor of identity and access management, right? Because they need to access the application. They need to ensure that they have a single sign-on capability, because they don't want to spend time in pushing up the username and passwords, in pushing up the complex username and passwords rather. They will simply have to have a single sign-on capability by means of identity and access management, have a passwordless authentication, a single one-touch authentication mechanism, and have a complete access to the application catalog. So one roof which houses all kinds of applications they are authorized for. All of these users bring in multiple devices, right? I mean, users will be having an iOS device, an Android device, a Windows machine for that matter, or even a Mac machine for that matter, or rugged devices for that matter. But these devices, I'm sorry, anybody has a question?
No questions, Rizwan. Please continue.
Thank you, Raj. Now, these devices may come across with multiple controls and multiple mechanisms to push in the policies. And that is where you see IT has multiple different solutions to manage all of these devices, right? I mean, you need to push policies across these devices. I mean, you have a different solution for iOS, you have a different solution for Windows, different for Chrome OS, different for Android devices, right? Now, this is where you bring them on the capability of Workspace ONE as a platform. So Workspace ONE as a platform is a unified endpoint management solution. When we say unified endpoint management solution, it's going to be managing all kinds of devices under one single roof, under one single umbrella. So you have devices being pushed across for iOS for the same solution. Same solution pushes policies, applications, does the software distribution, updates management for Windows machines, for Mac OS, for Android, as well as for any kind of devices that the user uses today. And this brings in the capability of also ensuring that you have a better level of access. You have a level of conditional access, and ensure that only compliant devices will be able to access applications like Office 365, SFDC, Workday, Concur for that matter. Okay. Workspace ONE also brings the solution of Workspace ONE Intelligence, which basically gathers all the data, all the logs, has a complete insight to all the applications, to all the data, and automate those processes that you have seen how we do it actually in the case of OS vulnerabilities, or in the case of the D management actually that we have seen. Following to this, we have SASE POP, right? We have the SASE point of presence. The point of presence is basically a structure, a data center structure, where you have all of these solutions like secure access, the cloud web security, Sd-Wan gateway, including firewall as a service. Now, when we talk about firewall as a service or secure access or all of these capabilities, this brings in the capability of having a cloud proxy solution, a cloud outbound proxy solutions actually. Today, when you want to access your cloud-based applications, or when you want to access any on-prem based application, the traffic is steered across through the SASE POP, where the SASE POP inspects this traffic, ensures you have a clean request going to the SaaS platform, and the same response comes back again to the SASE POP, goes back to the devices. This is what really happens. Now, going ahead further, one of the most critical aspects that we come across when we start using on-prem based applications, or when we start using the Vmware SASE POP as a solution, is basically Workspace ONE tunnel. The tunnel ensures that you have a secure access to your applications. Now, Workspace ONE tunnel is defined on Workspace ONE UEM. So when the device gets enrolled to the platform, this is one of the most critical factor of Workspace ONE tunnel, because only enrolled devices, only compliant devices will be having Workspace ONE tunnel installed in their machines, which means you cannot just simply go ahead and make use of any legacy tool, install the application, and start using that application as a VPN tool. You cannot do that. You need to ensure that the device is enrolled to the platform. You have the Workspace ONE tunnel installed in the devices, and this Workspace ONE tunnel is inspected, is being monitored by various policies, which is again pushed by Workspace ONE UEM itself. Then finally, we have Sd-Wan. Sd-Wan basically brings in the capability of network optimization as well as network security for the end user experience. Now, when I say network optimization, which means it brings in the capability to eliminate the jitter that we see, latency that we see, the packet loss that we see whenever we try to access any resources, whenever we try to access any applications here. With the SD-WAN capability, we also see the capability of traffic optimization. VMware has a built-in capability which is called DMPO, that is Dynamic Multipath Optimization, which brings in the capability of steering the traffic to the best available path for the destination, which means it can simply go ahead, overlay a complete network distribution, a virtual network distribution across, and ensures that the user has the best cost path to move to or to reach to that particular destination that the user wants to reach across. Finally, we have QoS, which is again coming from the SD-WAN solution. So basically, we can define for every application here, we can define a certain level, a certain percentage of bandwidth, where you can go ahead and say that these are the critical applications that I need to focus on, and the non-critical applications can have a low priority traffic. With this, it's an end to this to the complete presentation. Actually, and team, if you have any questions, any doubt, please feel free to ask anything.
Well, Rizwan, first off, thank you. That was a most comprehensive presentation, and really thank you for illustrating, the features of Workspace ONE and those and additionally the strength and protection you get from this platform when it's combined with the VMware SASE platform, as well as Carbon Black Cloud. So I think that was very helpful. We are slightly getting over our time, and folks, I do apologize for us going over a bit, but as you can imagine, there is quite a lot to cover. So just going back to what Rizwan said, if you have a question, by all means, answer it. If you want to drop it in the chat or send us or drop it into the QA, by all means. Seeing that we are over our time, I'm going to thank Rizwan for his presentation once again. I think it was very, very helpful, and it was really good to see the strength associated with the VMware solution that really allows you to control the risk associated with endpoint and endpoint security. So with that, we'd like to wrap up. We'd like to invite you, however, to join us on June 9th, where we continue our Tech Thursdays. And this time it will be actually a live event on site, and it will be live streamed. June 9th at the Page One Cafe, where we will be talking about Citrix cloud migrations. So we invite you to join us at that time. And with that, I would like to thank you for attending this event, and we look forward to talking to you soon.